QBISS One is architectural facade system with unrivaled design and performance. It is a complete system, available in various colors and joint options, including corner elements, trims and flashings and all accessories required for completion of the facade. A lot of efforts were put into development of the system to achieve a clean look with no visible fixings and top thermal performance and fire resistance. QBISS One facade elements are made of state-of-the-art materials and fabrication processes. Composite elements are made of non-combustible mineral wool core to achieve fire resistance up to EI 120, and a metal face with a special forming process of closed element corners with no cut edges to achieve highest level of corrosion and weathering resistance for long-lasting building performance, guaranteed. Facade elements can span up to 6.5 meters and can have a width from 0.6 to 1.2 meters. The system is designed a single span, so the elements are fixed only at each end, and the fixings are hidden within the joint. Structural supports are needed only at joints, where facade elements are fixed. There is no need for a wall or additional substructure in between. Main columns can be used as supports in cases where the elements are horizontally laid, as shown in this video. Additional supports for fixing are needed around openings and on bottom and top of elevation. As a fully prefabricated system, the facade elements are delivered to construction site ready to install, and with integrated thermal insulation on all element joints to avoid errors on site and to assure top thermal performance and fire resistance. The elements are fixed with fixings which are hidden within the fixing joint. Typical fixing joint configuration is made by an integrated thermal insulation on one element and on next element by an overlap with integrated load-bearing fixing washers. Number of load-bearing fixing washers is defined according to structural calculation. There can be from 3 washers, as shown, or up to 5. Fixing washers are factory applied, so the installers know exactly how many fixings are required in the joint. The joint is finished with insertion of gasket and decorative extrusion to hide the fixings and seal the joint and the facade. The gasket needs to clip into load-bearing fixing washers when inserted. During installation, in addition to main fixings, each element needs to be fixed through internal face for transfer of self-load, and sealant applied as shown to assure air tightness. Fixing joint configuration, as shown, is suitable for installation of elements from left to right because the overlap sits on top of integrated insulation. But the elements can be installed from right to left as well. Therefore, various element types are available to allow all possible installation directions and joint configurations. For example, element type 1 is used for left to right installation, and element type 2 is used for right to left installation, and so on. Direction of installation and element type needs to be defined prior to production, so the elements are made with correct fixing joint configuration on each end for smooth installation. Tolerances for installation of the elements are defined as shown for each joint respectively. Preparation of structure or substructure is a key part in installation of prefabricated system. So, the tolerances for installation of QBISS One are defined as ±2 mm. This is applicable to deviation from horizontal level around the building, and deviation of supports from the facade axis, and deviation of support from adjacent supports. As we all know, there are always deviations between designed and as-built, which might impact installation of prefabricated system, but the key is in preparation for installation, with on-site measurements of as-built and definition of horizontal and vertical set out. And in addition, we have a solution to circumvent the deviations, actually two. First, we recommend use of falls, fast adjustable leveling substructure to assure the tolerances required for installation of the system. Falls is a simple bracket and rail system which allows fine adjustments, and it is made of cold-formed galvanized steel. And second solution, which suitable in cases where greater deviations between design and as-built dimensions are expected. In this case, we recommend making a part of the facade elements after site measurements. Usually 1 column of elements on the elevation is sufficient. This can be the elements before the end of the elevation, or even corner elements themselves. Since we have now covered the basics of QBISS One facade system, let us demonstrate all installation steps, in depth, on a demo installation wall. First things first. Please thoroughly check comprehensive QBISS One installation guide. It is provided in the installation kit with specific tools for the installation. First step for installation of falls, fast adjustable leveling substructure is a dimensional check of main structure and a horizontal and vertical set out for installation, according to installation drawings. It is recommended to mark the axes and levels for installation, for easier reference. Installation of falls starts with an installation of brackets in a proper layout. Then the rails are inserted into the brackets and aligned according to set out and fixed vertically to achieve a flat plane for installation of facade elements. Installation of base detail starts with an angle fixed to main structure. Install it horizontally, within the tolerances, as all other elements will follow it. Lay a secondary drip flashing on the angle. Place U-shaped holders on top, 9 mm from the angle. Use a spacer for easier positioning. And fix the holder. The holders need to be spaced less than 1 meter centers between the ends of the element to prevent thermal deflection of the element. Hang a drip flashing on a U-shaped holders. Apply sealing tape, 1 stripe under each element end. So, 2 stripes on each support. And on a base detail, and elsewhere as per detail drawings. Before starting with the installation of facade elements, mark the axes and levels of the elements, according to installation drawings, as this is crucial for positioning of the elements. Follow element reference numbers as shown on the drawings, packing labels and as printed on each element. Remove protective film from both sides of the element prior to installation. Place first element on the base support, and interlock it onto U-shaped holders. Position it according to set axes and make sure it is level. Then fix it through internal steel sheet on one end and the other end. Insert EPDM rubber drip element on base detail. Follow the direction of installation and continue with installation. Place the element on base support and position it according to set axes. Make sure it is level and align it with previous element. Use installation crosses and joints junction to assure proper joint dimensions. Then fix the element through internal steel sheet for transfer of self-weight on one end from the side and the other end from the top. Fix both elements with main fixings in the fixing joint. Use 1 fixing for each fixing washer. Be careful not to over-tighten the fixings. Use a spirit level to check flatness at joint. Continue with installation of elements on top of former elements. First install mastic seal, add sealing tape, on inner side of an element below, to assure vapor and air tightness. Then continue with placement and positioning of the element. Use installation crosses. Align it with former lower element, and assure it is leveled, and within set axes. Fix it through internal steel sheet on both ends from the side. Install junction drip element at each junction of element joints. Insert it between the external metal face and mineral wool core, and slide it down, so the tongue will slip over external metal face of the bottom element. Continue with installation of next side element. Apply mastic sealant and place the element. Use installation crosses. Position the element, and align it with former elements. Fix it through internal steel sheet on one end from the side, and the other end from the top. Fix both elements with main fixings in the fixing joint. Use 1 fixing for each fixing washer. Be careful not to over-tighten the fixings. Use a spirit level to check flatness at joint. After installation of facade elements, insert gasket and decorative extrusion into fixing joint to hide the fixings, and seal the joint. Cut off part of decorative extrusion from 40 to 50 mm, as shown, to adapt to base detail. Assemble gasket and decorative extrusion before they are inserted into the joint. Apply soapy water with syringe onto assembled gasket and into the fixing joint to reduce friction and ease inserting the gasket into the joint. Insert the gasket into fixing joint, starting from bottom of the facade going up. Assure that the face of the extrusion remains parallel to the face of facade element and that the gasket is not rotated or twisted. Manually push the gasket into the fixing joint as deep as possible. Then use a wooden bar and a hammer to fully insert the gasket with extrusion to approximately 25 mm deep. The gasket needs to clip into load-bearing fixing washer and need to be flush with longitudinal joint. Gasket should be continuous through the whole length of fixing joint. If required, it can be extended with a 45-degree cut and a joint glued with EPDM glue. Decorative extrusions are in length up to 4 meters and must be assembled into the gasket with 10 mm expansion slot. When connecting gasket and decorative extrusion, always assure at least 500 mm overlap and do not join them at same point. Install flashings and other items to finish the works. Use additional load-bearing fixing washers in fixing joint as needed. Insert gasket and extrusion wherever needed. Install top parapet cap. Fix the panel on top with minimum 1 fixing per meter. And finish the installation. This video showed basics of QBISS One Horizontal installation. For vertical installation of QBISS One, as shown on the left side, see another video. For further guidance, check QBISS One installation guide available on our website or contact us.